alive. It's not really a drive time dialectic. Sitting at the mall, and I'm waiting for my daughter and my grandkids and Mrs. Minnesota to come back out from what they're doing. It's kind of an unplanned trip today. I've been trying to do some research for my next essay over on Substack, and I needed to put something out, and I wanted to put it here. Like, folks, one, thanks to all the channel members, to all the subscribers. Thanks to everybody who has been so supportive of everything that I do. I'm probably going to lose about 99% of you right now. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, condone the invasion of Venezuela. I do not condone the invasion and bombing of Venezuela. I do not condone the invasion and bombing of Venezuela and the rendition of Maduro. Maduro is a piece of crap, right? Like, he's honestly a piece of crap. He is a Marxist dictator. Completely understand that he's a Marxist dictator. That being said, the United States should not be going about the world seeking monsters to destroy. And for all of the people who are out there claiming that this was the right thing to do, that, you know, Daddy Trump did the right stuff in this situation, where do we draw the line? Didn't we learn anything for 20 plus years of the global war on terror that was nothing more than attempts at regime change? We tried to change the regime in Afghanistan. We lost thousands of American lives. We successfully caused regime change in Iraq and lost thousands upon thousands of American lives. We killed almost 1 million people around the world in 20 plus years of war to change regimes in countries that we decided deserve to have their regimes changed. So now, as you slept last night, America, as you slept last night, MAGA, your president, the president of the United States, without telling Congress, hey Caleb, thanks for being here, without telling Congress, invaded another country, bombed another country, took out their leader, right or wrong, whether you like Maduro or not, he was their leader. He effected regime change overnight in your name, and has now, as you look at the thumbnail of this video, Trump has promised that we're going to occupy Venezuela and run that country for their good. Donald Trump is promising to run Venezuela for their good, and he's going to secure the oil fields for American oil companies, and he's going to secure the lithium mines for American lithium production. I'm a vet. I'm sick and tired of seeing fellow veterans come home from foreign conflicts in body bags. I'm sick and tired of seeing my fellow veterans come home from foreign conflicts that have stretched on for decades. And off themselves in the 22 a day category because of the hell that we put them through. I'm America first and America only. No more money to any other country, no more regime change, no more telling other countries how to live their lives. End it all. No more money to Ukraine, no more money to geopolitical Zionist Israel. But now we've committed to spending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars more in another country, in Venezuela. You folks, we spent billions just bombing them last night. That's billions of dollars. Every missile that was launched, every bomb that was dropped they're millions of dollars. They're not these one-off little systems that are super cheap. The United States spent billions in one operation. And now we're going to occupy a foreign country. I'm at that point too, Steve Ladner. People ask me all the time, would you tell what should I tell my kids who want to join the military? Don't join the military. We just saw Iowa National Guard troops slaughtered in Syria, a country that we helped overthrow. We helped overthrow Syria by paying ISIS to overthrow Syria. You remember ISIS that we were fighting while we were paying them? And if you don't believe me, go to antiwar.com. It is not a hard left progressive organization. They are a libertarian institution. That's part of the Libertarian Institution, the Libertarian Institute. Listen to what Scott Horton has to say about that. Listen to what experts on world affairs. We've spent billions of dollars overthrowing Iraq by paying ISIS to take over Syria. And now, ISIS leader, a man who killed American soldiers, who beheaded American soldiers, airmen and Marines and sailors. We then have seen Donald Trump welcome him into the White House and call him a good guy. But Maduro had to go. Why? Why did Maduro have to go? Oh, it was about drugs. No, it wasn't. If we were really interested in stopping the flow of drugs into the United States, first we'd disband the DEA, the CIA, and the FBI, because they have brought more drugs into this country than any foreign power has. But worse, not only has the American intel assets brought more drugs into the United States, Mexico is responsible more directly for more drugs coming in the United States. Why aren't we bombing and invading Mexico? Could it be because Mexico doesn't have anything that we want? It might be that Mexico doesn't have anything that we want. Right? What does Mexico have that we don't have already? What does Mexico have that we can't get? No, Mexico doesn't offer anything. Venezuela offers something. Venezuela offers the richest oil fields in the world outside of the United States. The difference between Venezuelan oil is heavy crude. The vast majority of the oil in the United States is light crude. Thank you, everybody who's in the chat. I know I'm ranting. You're going to have to deal with it. You want me to answer a question? You're going to have send a super chat. I'm not answering questions unless you super chat. The reality of this is that we wanted Venezuelan heavy crude because all of our refineries in the United States are set up for heavy crude. Most of the oil in the U.S. is light crude. So our refineries cannot process the crude that is here, the crude oil that's here in the United States. Why can't we process the crude? Because the United States government won't allow us to build light crude refineries. And you cannot retrofit the heavy crude refineries without spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to retrofit them. So, we're going to invade a sovereign country, claim it's about drugs, and then immediately announce that we're taking over the country, we're occupying the country, which, by the way, is going to be American troops on the ground. You cannot occupy Venezuela without having American troops on the ground, which will cost billions every year. Billions of your tax dollars. Billions of the United States, American, we the people citizens, spending their hard-earned money to pay their tax bills, because that's what good wage slave tax cattle do. You just keep going to work and keep having your money stripped from you under the threat of going to prison. You don't pay your taxes, what happens to you? You go to prison, then they take that money, they turn around and they invade a sovereign nation. Don't like Maduro, don't like the Marxist government of Venezuela, but we invade a sovereign nation and now we're going to occupy it. And we're going to seize control of their oil fields and their lithium mines, all to benefit corporatocracy. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I believe in capitalism through and through. Seizing oil fields and seizing lithium mines is not capitalism. That's literally fascism. That's fascism. Donald Trump invading Venezuela, arresting their leader, and then seizing control of the country and promising that he's going to bring in American oil companies is okay, Daisy May. I don't, like, whatever. You can ask a question. I'm not obligated to answer it. Like, and there are people that come in here and want to ask questions, and I don't know who they are. So, see you later, Daisy May. I don't care if you unsubscribe. And then people ask, well, what about our secured border? What about our secured border? So, what has that gotten us? It hasn't. We haven't done away with any of the problems. Billions of dollars going to Iraq, or excuse me, Israel. Billions of dollars. That's fine, Daisy May. I never asked you to watch me. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but if people want to ask questions, I can put parameters around that. You know, like, if you're not a channel, if you're not a subscriber and you're just coming in here from the shorts feed and you think I'm obligated to answer questions for you, like if you want to answer a question as a subscriber or a channel member, feel free. That gives you some clout. But to sit here and say that I'm obligated to answer questions for looky-loos who are scrolling through without somebody sending a super chat, you don't get to dictate to me what I do on my channel. Why do you have that kind of control? It's okay for you to say that, but it's not okay for me to control how I handle things on my channel. Yeah, whatever. Again, this is the first time I've watched your channel. I will never watch it again because of what you just said. Okay, Daisy May, if it's the first time you've ever watched, I don't care. I don't care. My channel subscribers and my channel members are far more important to me than looky-loos. Okay, bye, Daisy. This isn't an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. Billions of dollars that we send to Israel, a terrorist country. Israel is a terrorist country. Billions of dollars we send to Ukraine, which is you know, you look at what Ukraine has done. It terrorizes its own people. The United States pays for the salaries and the pensions and the social welfare structure of Ukraine right now, to the tunes of billions of dollars, not to mention all the military aid. It is a terrorist country, Jepper, because they literally have murdered priests for being priests. They've murdered Orthodox priests simply for being priests and speaking out against. That's terrorism. Israel is a terrorist country. Ukrainian government is a terrorist government. It's a dictatorship. It's a totalitarian dictatorship that we pay for. The American people pay for that. And now we're going to pay to run Venezuela. Once again, that's billions of your wage, slave, tax cattle dollars being forcibly stripped from you under threat of being thrown in prison if you refuse to pay your taxes, to go to another country so that our big oligarchs in the oil and lithium industries can be safe. These two things, Gruntfather, Somali daycare fraud, is not even analogous to what we just did in Venezuela. And by the way, I have been from day one been opposed to what's going on with the Somali daycare fraud. Absolutely opposed to it. No, I'm not. I'm a paleo-libertarian. I make most conservatives look like leftists. I'm anti-interventionist. I'm America first, America only. No more money than any other countries. If you're here, even if you're here legally, if you're doing illegal things as a foreign national, get the hell out of my country. Gone. I don't care if you're a naturalized citizen. If you're doing illegal stuff and you get caught, do your time, then you get deported. Get the hell out of my country. I love that, Gruntfather. Thank you. I'm just fired up right now. I'm a vet and I'm fired up because I'm sick and tired of us going to war for stupid shit. And I can't, people have got to stop saying this isn't a war. Yeah, get the illegals from Venezuela out of here. I agree with you 100%. 100% agree with you. Get the illegals, especially the 8 million from Venezuela, out of here. But you want to know why there's 8 million Venezuelans here? It's because we let them in. They didn't just get in, and not just under the Biden administration. They came in under Trump's first administration. They came in under other administrations. And you know what, Grandfather? As a vet, one, I would love for you to reach out to me because we'd love to have you come in and talk about your experiences on another platform that I'm part of called Veteran Nation. We'd love to talk to you because we care about our fellow veterans. But I care enough about my fellow veterans that I'm sick and tired of seeing our American blood and treasure, our boys, our service members, put in harm's way for regime change. That is now going to cost us billions upon billions of dollars, and it's going to result in at least a decade, if not longer, of occupation. That's what I need people to understand. This raid might have been over in a matter of hours. It still cost us billions. It still put American soldiers and Marines and airmen and sailors' lives on the line. It was still an illegal invasion. It was an invasion. And I'm glad that we didn't lose any American military lives. I'm very glad for that. But Trump said that it's not over. He said there will be more if necessary, which it will be necessary because you cannot control and occupy a country without having a strong military presence there. We are going to have a strong military presence there. Look, I served when we were getting ready to invade. I was with the 82nd Airborne Division, and we were on Green Ramp, ready. What's your question, Ghana? I don't see, it's so hard to see questions most of the time. Why hasn't a federal, that's why I tell people, if you want me to see a question, even a $1.99 super chat's gonna put it in a highlight box. So, and I'm not obligated to answer questions. Why hasn't a federal judge ordered their release? Release of who? Who are they? When you look at the reality of I look like Walter White in the last episode of Breaking Bad. Okay. When you look at the reality of what's invested in, it was an epic show of force, and we lost more American lives to fentanyl. But drugs are not the problem with Venezuela. Our own DEA doesn't even list Venezuela as a top 10% exporter or smuggler of drugs to the United States. Mexico, by far, is the number one. Mexico filters more fentanyl into the United States than any other country. This all comes back to a fascistic seizure of Venezuela's oil fields and lithium mines, all to benefit corporatocracy, crony capitalism. No, we're not. Mexico isn't stopping the drug trade. If you want to end the drug trade, if you want to end the illegals coming across the border, we should be invading Mexico. We should be bombing the piss out of Mexico right now. They are the number one. So this is clearly, like I was saying earlier, before most of you got here, Mexico is not. This is not about This is ultimately not about drugs. This is not about ending illegal aliens from entering the United States. This is about having the oil of Venezuela. Look at the thumbnail of this that I put up for this. This is all about having their natural resources. We have got to start asking ourselves, ultimately, how many American lives is it worth risking? How many American lives is it worth risking for regime change? How many more countries do we need to affect regime change in? So I'll go back to Ukraine. Ukraine, the situation we're in right now with Ukraine and Russia being at war is a direct result of the 2014 color revolution that was orchestrated by Victoria Nuland, who was in the State Department under Obama. Victoria Nuland orchestrated, along with the rest of the State Department, State Department and CIA, orchestrated that overthrow of the duly elected president of Ukraine, who was favorably leaning towards Russia. And we couldn't have that. We couldn't have him being favorable towards Russia. So we had to overthrow him. So they orchestrated a color revolution, installed the next president who was favorable to the West. The Azov battalion, the Nazi regime, or the Nazi elements within Ukraine did not like him and threatened him. So they forced him out, and that's when they installed Zelensky. We immediately began to make overtures towards bringing Ukraine into NATO, which, by the way, is a corrupt organization as well. Almost as bad as the UN. The UN is the most corrupt organization in the world, and NATO is right up there with it. So we immediately make overtures to bring Ukraine into NATO, and that's when they say, no, you're not doing that. We're not going to have a potentially hostile country in NATO sitting right on our border, which then would also cut us off. Russia's saying this, cut us off from our one warm water port, which is on the Black Sea. And then we covered up the fact that Ukrainian military forces were slaughtering ethnic Russians in Eastern Oblast regions. They were affecting ethnic cleansing. A genocide. They were on their way towards a genocide of ethnic Russians in the eastern part of Ukraine. People who had lived there for generation upon generation upon generation. But they wanted them out. Once again, an American regime change caused the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. I would strongly recommend, if you're an intellectual who likes to read, there's a very heavy tome out there written by a man named Scott Horton, and that book is called Provoked. And it's about the escalation of the second round of Cold War with Russia. Folks, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop this constant. The United States has been at war every single year since the end of World War II. The only difference is that since the end of World War II, the United States has not declared a single military action an actual war, which is a violation of the Constitution of the United States. We've got to wake up to the reality that we are literally fighting these wars around the world to the detriment of the American people. And at the end, we're going to lose the republic because we're not taking care of our own people. I mean, do you really think it's a mistake? Do you really think that it was a mistake that we brought in all these Somalis? When we intervened in Somalia in the early 90s, we go into Somalia, we intervene in Somalia, We bombed the piss out of Somalia. We bombed the piss out of all their warlords. Then we bring all of their people here after we destroy their country. No, Obama didn't bring the Somalis here, Grunt Father. The Somalis started coming here under Clinton and then under Bush. Actually, some of the Somalis started coming in under the first Bush administration. I was at Fort Bragg. I was stationed at Fort Bragg with the 82nd Airborne Division. And before the Black Hawk Down incident took place, we had already committed troops, obviously, and those troops had been committed prior to Clinton going in. Clinton escalated the presence of American troops in Somalia. Then between the UN and Obama tied the hands of the United States military, which caused the Black Hawk Down operation to go as bad as it did. And then as we destabilized Somalia even further than it was already destabilized, we brought their refugees into this country. We started bringing them in before Black Hawk Down took place. And why? Why did we bring them here? Why did Republicans and Democrats bring Somalis into this country? Why did they settle them in places like Minneapolis? I know what Article 4 does. The reality is we brought the Somalis in here, and then we made it possible for them to bilk us. This is our fault. This is the fault of the American government, and therefore it's the fault of the American people, because we only started to care once we became aware. But all of these things happen because we spend all of our time meddling in other countries' affairs. When you break something, you're responsible for it, right? Like, we all heard that growing up as kids. We all heard that. You break it, you buy it. Well, we broke it. We broke Somalia. We broke Iraq. We broke Afghanistan. Now we're breaking Venezuela beyond, what it was already broken. The heir apparent to the throne, Trump said today in Venezuela, isn't qualified to run the country. So he's just not going to let her take the presidential seat. Who the fuck is Donald Trump to tell the person who the people want there, like, the people want this woman to be president? And he said she's not qualified, so we're going to run the country. What? Why does Donald Trump get to determine that a Venezuelan isn't qualified to run Venezuela, but he is? Donald Trump's qualified to run Venezuela. Once again, billions upon billions of your taxpayer dollars, your wage slave tax cattle dollars, are going to get funneled in to Venezuela. While we can't take care of our homeless veterans. We can't even take care of our non-homeless veterans, folks. We don't spend the amount of money. No, he said that as far as he's concerned, she's not qualified to run that country. Very sarcastic lost cause. Right. That was wonderful. No, he said we are running the country. He's not going to let her take the position of president. He said the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. He said that the U.S. is running Venezuela. Now, how am I taking things out of context? Gruntfather, send me an email. I'd love to talk to you sometime. I always love to talk to fellow vets that are reasonable. Good, let's run a country. Oh, yeah, so now we should have invade Cuba. Uh, the Northern Hemisphere does not belong to the United States. That's not what the Monroe Doctrine says. The Monroe Doctrine does not say that you get to invade any country you decide you don't when you decide you don't like their leadership. Do you not see, Derek Gordon, do you not see how completely, blindly stupid it is to think that that means he's not going to dictate who goes into that position? Which means that person will be a puppet of the United States regime. And if they don't like him, then we just put another person in. That's literally him saying, I get to decide who runs the country. Why does the United States get to pick who runs a country outside of the United States? That's asinine. Gruntfather, send me an email. MBRR podcast at yahoo.com. MBRR podcast at yahoo.com. When was this raid? This morning, brother, in this situation is still developing. The raid happened overnight. The invasion and bombing happened overnight. Why do we get to decide who runs a sovereign country? Nobody can give me an answer to that. What gives, under the United States Constitution, under the powers that are granted to the federal government, what gives them the power to dictate what other countries in our hemisphere do? Because that's not what the Monroe Doctrine says. And I'm thankful for all of our veterans' service. That doesn't mean I have to be for every single military action that takes place. It is because because I love my fellow veterans, and I love the active duty military, and I love the reserves and the guardsmen. I oppose military action around the world that is not a direct threat to our borders. And when Trump decided to declare that fentanyl was a weapon of mass destruction, and then declared Venezuela a narco-terrorist state, that was all an overture to be able to justify going in and seizing their oil fields. Once again, Army, 82nd Airborne. Hey, Aircaf, thanks for being here. And I'm serious. I know I sound fired up, but I love my fellow vets, and I love having these conversations with them. I really do. My co-host over at Veteran Nation, Mike Skipper Arthur, enlisted into the Marines, and then he went green to gold. I don't know what the Marines call it. In the Army, we called it green to gold. He went green gold and became a captain before he got out. Served in Afghanistan. He and I agree on a lot of things, and we don't always agree on stuff. Fentanyl is exclusively manufactured in China. They ship it directly. Oh, you deleted. This is why it's so hard to read things without the super chat bubble around it. So, no, the reality is, yeah, fentanyl is exclusively manufactured in China and also sold directly to the United States by China. Opioids are sold directly to the United States. American doctors prescribe people opioids. And then when they get people hooked, and then they get threatened with legal action if they keep people hooked or if they keep over-prescribing them, then these people have this addiction, and they have to go out and find a way to feed that addiction. And the only way for them to feed that addiction is then buy illegal street drugs. So the United States medical system, Big Pharma, has created the high demand for opioids, to include fentanyl and carfentanil. And here we sit. And the opioid crisis really peaked about 10 to 12 years ago. Really peaked 10 to 12 years ago. It's been bad. It's continued to be bad. I mean, I saw some of the worst of it when I was working for the local sheriff's office. I saw what opioid addiction can do to people. I saw what it can cause. But the reality is that there's a demand for it because our medical system has created the demand for it. It's the same thing with the high amounts of people addicted to methamphetamine. A lot of the people who are addicted to methamphetamine are addicted to it because they were put onto amphetamines when they were kids to combat ADHD and hyperactivity. So adult or attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity disorder. And so then they all of a sudden get kicked off and told to deal with it, and now they're out buying illegal prescription pills, or they're settling for meth because they don't know how to deal with it. A lot of these problems, the opioid crisis, the opioid addictions, the meth addictions, are all predominantly stemming from the overuse of those drugs by the medical system. So going after foreign countries for my family's back, so I'm going to end this. You guys have a good night. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Email me, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.